Olympia is a well-known city thanks that here is where the Olympic Games were born. But it doesn't mean that this is only what makes Olympia a relevant city. So what if we analyze some interesting aspects about its history that made it one of the greatest cities that have ever been? Let's start with the birth of the city. There are two legends about this event. The first one says that Enomao, king of Pisa, has been promised to give her daughter Hippodamia as wife to the one that would beat him in a chariot race. However, the king always was in charge of killing all of her daughter's suitors, at least till the arrival of Pelope, who gave the name to the Peloponnesus. He managed to win thanks to the king's charioteer, who helped him by replacing the Enomaus chariot wheel axis with other made of wax. And so, Pelope could get married with Hippodamia, and together they institute the Olympic Games as a reminder of that race. The other legend refers to the Heracles' 12 works, forced to clean the stables of Augeas, king of Elis. Having finished, the king denied to repay his work, so Heracles destroyed all the city, and then he offered a sacrifice to Zeus in the sanctum and decided to organize some athletic competitions to recall the event. Now, talking historically, it is estimated that Olympia emerged in the year 2500 before Christ, date in which was built up the first sacred monument, and it's known that by that time the cult to Kronos already exists. But it will be till the 9th century before Christ when the city will adopt the denomination of Olympia, with the arrival of people that was coming from the northern Corinto, also introducing the cult to Zeus. In the year 776 before Christ, the king of Elis decided to organize the first Olympic Games by order from Delphos oracle, being this event the detonator of disputes between Elis and Pisa about the control of the sanctum of Zeus and the games. So Pisa was done with the administration of Olympia in the 7th century before Christ, until the neighboring cities were giving their support to Elis in the 5th century, situation that concludes with the total destruction of Pisa in hands of Elis, coming back this way the control of the city and the games to them. It's worth mentioning that from that moment and the whole next century would be the era of greatest splendor of the sanctum, being raised up the great temple of Zeus with the ruins of the destroyed Pisa, the Metrum, the Leonideo, and the rest of treasures. Now, let's talk a bit about the Olympic Games. The peak of this event and the great city of the Olympia made necessary build a lot of new public buildings to host all the visitors, the athletes, and the organizers. And so, all the files about the Olympic events happened so far. Let's see an image from the Olympic Village and identify some relevant buildings. It's worth to mention that Olympia was the perfect place to establish an Olympic complex, being nestled between the Alpheus and the Chaldean rivers, and situated in a place where there were plentiful rains and humid blizzards from the sea that favored to have rich vegetation. Now in the image, the number one is the temple to Zeus. Here there was an incredibly immense statue of the Greek god Zeus, which unfortunately was lost in a fire in Constantinople. The number two is the temple to Hera, legitimate wife of Zeus. The number 3 is the altar to Zeus. The number 4 is the Philippeo, which I'm talking about it later. The number 5 is the Pelopion, built up in honor of Pelope, and number 6 is the Metrum. The numerous buildings in the number 7 are the Balcony of Treasures, where some cities erect 12 temples as testimony of the excellent diplomatic relations between them. The number 8 is the stadium, and the number 9 the Prytaneo. Numbers 10 and 11 are the stoas, a characteristic construction of the public Greek architecture. The number 12 is the Bouleuterion, where the athletes were selected. Number 13, the Leonideo, was where the Roman leaders were hosted when they went to Greece to see the games. Number 14 is the workshop of Phidias, and number 15 are the popular Greek baths. However, the end of the Peloponnesus War in the 404 before Christ left behind a lot of unsolved disputes between the Greek cities, which provoked that these disputes would transfer also to the Olympic Games, in which the cities tried to ensure the athletic victories even if they do it breaking the rules of the competitions. But the peak of the politic utilization of Olympia came when, after the Chaeronea battle in the 338 before Christ, the king of Macedonia, Philip II, conquered Greece and ordered to construct the Philippeo in honor of his own family, and with the arrival of the Roman Empire in the 2nd century before Christ, the Olympic Games had already lost all its religious and cultural meaning. So now we can see all the events, even some of them very destructive, that gave the city its greatness and also led it to its declining, letting us only the ruins and some writings about the great city that was once.